I'm Abhijeet Nadgouda, having more than 20 years of experience in human resources, industrial relations, and business excellence area. I have worked with Indian multinational organizations as well as I worked with the Indian origin organizations, and I have a ample of understanding and experience in terms of diversified businesses, meet chemical industry, pharmaceuticals, IT, and also the engineering industry. And I worked with different business houses in India, Tata, Birla, and as well as the Reliance. Considering the different complexities and different understanding for different kind of role, I have performed in different kind of assignments. I'm a commerce graduate and I have done my post-graduation in human resources. And currently I'm pursuing my PGDBM in XLRI for the further advanced understanding in terms of the CHRO making course. And if you ask me, in my current assignment, I'm heading the human resource function for Jyothy Labs, which is the fastest growing, fast moving consumer goods organization. If you look at it, typically, Indian organizations or I would say that the Asian, cultural gamut, which prominently we are discovering it or rather we are observing it. That is the culture region, and I would say that each organization will have their own diversified kind of activities, and which is actually driving individuals' performance. And India per se, if you will see, there is a lot of diversity. I mean, every 100 kilometers, you will see there's a change in terms of the culture as well as, in terms of the work ethics as well. But one constant factor which I'm observing, that is the strong work ethics. The Indian, employee focuses always towards how they will be more committed towards their work. Whether it is, time is never a bar for any individual to complete that task. So you will say the long hours are, which is a very common features when people are working. But the focus is that they are highly committed towards completion of that process and going extra mile, which is, I would say, that something which is always constant, which I'm observing it across. That I would say one of the very strong characteristics. Besides, you will see that value for education is something which is, you'll see that very strongly in India. Most of the corporate culture, it is prominent. When still you see that somebody who is progressive towards their learning, I think, which is considered in a very positive response or a positive way for the organization as well as the individual's development is concerned. I would say that performance and potential, both the factors are actually complementing each other. I mean, when we look at it, we don't see that these are standalone kind of processes for any organization. If you see that it is more from the context and the objective perspective for any organization. So it's not that you see that any organization are only focusing towards the performance, as a driver for their growth, or probably the potential is only factor. And typically, I mean, why I'm saying that, probably I can testify my statement saying that when you are looking, performance, it is a more in terms of tangible outcome and results, of a employee as well as about the function, which is definitely required. And, I would say that it is also moving towards a more predictability, because it is something wherein organization is having focus more on the sustenance part. I think, performance is something which is definitely a driving factor and which is a very important aspect when you are considering and focusing towards that. But when organization is looking towards the growth orientation, or, when we are looking for a short-term, long-term growth, and wherein the focus is more towards the innovation or creativity, or I would say that shift in the entire process or shift in the entire organization's view, their potential is a very important factor, and it plays a vital role. Because if you have a potential which is nurturing it continuously, then for any organization, grappling with any kind of situation won't be I would say, any kind of a possibilities there. Organizations can be more adaptable to any scenarios. I mean, a classic example during COVID people have faced. Those organizations were having a very strong potential pipeline. They never had any kind of face because a lot of business models have actually changed after the COVID. And there your potential is definitely supporting. So I would say that, these are basically very contextual and objective centric, because if we are probably focusing on growth centric kind of a journey, then definitely potential is important. And when we are looking towards the sustenance, performance is also required, because when both the factors are moving, then only organizations overall, I would say that purview, or rather overall, I would say that trajectory growth is possible, because otherwise single aspect won't be supporting for any organization in terms of driving the entire thing. So I would say that for us, potential and performance both are equally complementing each other factor, which is very important for any organization. I think let us understand why at this juncture we have a talent crunch. If we holistically understand the whole situation, there are I would say that few factors are directly impacting, or rather those factors are driving this complete crunch kind of a situation. I feel number one, in terms of, there's a huge and I would say a very rapid technological advancement. Probably the way technology is upgrading it at each and every corner, whether it be processes or service industry, or whether it is information technology industry, everywhere you will see that this technological advancement is basically somewhere creating that gap vis-a-vis what is actually required. So I feel that that's the one factor. Another thing is education industry is mismatched. Probably what currently you could see that courses, or probably the education which is imparted to these students and industry requirement, there is a gap. When many times when we also see that the freshers, those who are joining the organization, they still grapple initially, because a lot of time what exactly industry is needing it, and vis-a-vis what is actually the course is designed, there is a lot of gap, and that is also leading to a crunch in terms of you will say the talent. And third, since a lot of the globalization is impacting, the standards for your talent is also actually dynamic. It is changing because the competition is with the global resources, and there also infrastructure is the what is our requirement perspective. There is a gap. So these factors are directly impacting in terms of what you call it as a when we are calling about the crunch kind of a scenario. Now, if you look at it, what is our experience in terms of strategies? I think the strategy perspective, we guys are, definitely we are taking few steps. I mean, that is helping us in terms of managing, or probably to a larger extent, to handle this crunch at a different level. One, I think industry partnering with the education industry. At this juncture, a lot of PP, that is private public partnership activities, are actually helping in giving us a lot of input. The industries are designing the courses based on their particular operations requirement, particular service requirement, and then they are having kind of a partnership with those institutes, and in partnership whatever the courses are basically delivered, those are actually reducing the lot of gap in terms of the actual requirement. I mean, so that is one, I would say that action is already industry is taking it, and that is helping us. Second, I think diversity and inclusion is something which is very important, and where there I would say that there's a lot of innovative approaches required. I'll just quickly share my own example during one of the organization wherein it was at a very interior place, and getting a niche operating skill at that particular location was very difficult kind of a scenario. So what we have actually done, we have taken the villager, and then we have actually had a partnership with the local ITI, and then we created a course which is required for our industry, and that particular course has been driven in a such a way, of course, along with our own infrastructure. so that the requirement wherein we will be having in-house availability of that talent, and we need not to, rather it is more as a build kind of a strategy rather than buy, and that has helped us in basically creating our own pipeline for catering to those kind of skills. And those set of, I would say that people, they were never exposed to this kind of environment. They were always considered that they are not, they are the lowest part of the strata socially. So it was never given focus on that particular area. But these initiatives are actually helping in terms of driving the whole process. Third thing, I would say that there is also there are certain government programs are there, apprenticeship program or internship program. I think those are also supporting when you are bridging the gap of talent which is required versus what is actually you'll be needing it. Because if we are opting and we are basically developing it fullest extent, I think that's going to be really helping us in terms of bridging the whole gap. And I feel with the help of government initiatives or other partnering with government also, if the industries are coming together and they are doing it, I think a lot of possibility that with the existing infrastructure, whatever we have available, we can derive certain plans, we can derive certain employment-oriented kind of education and training program, and that will definitely help us in reducing that gap, which is currently all industries are facing. I think very interesting research is actually revolving around this particular subject, and when we also, as an industry practicing people, we are referring it to those kind of various, I would say that discussions as well as the research. A few facts are giving insight. I mean, just to rather supplement my statement, I would say that in between the World Economic Forum has released their overall findings, and it clearly talks about that the by 2025 close to 85 million jobs will get replaced, and this is one side of it, and the second side is also talking about, though it is we are finding it scary, but the other side also talks about that 97 million new jobs will get created. So the whole process, whenever in historical LC, we must have observed historically that whenever any kind of a new technological innovations and the drivers or other interventions are taking into place, always it has got a balance kind of effect, and that's the reason I would say that it is threat as well as it is basically opportunity. So I don't stand alone say that it is only a threat. Yes, when we are talking about opportunity, it will help a lot of way in terms of automating certain basic processes, which is, if you look at it, current scenario for all industries, which is something which is very, very important, that how they will manage their, the costing towards their each kind of a processes or delivery or the services. So automation will help in terms of definitely reducing the cost. So it is, when we look at it in a broader aspect, it is opportunity. It will also help in terms of a lot of data analysis, because at this juncture, there are off-the-shelf, very limited options we have. But ChatGPT and the other sort of AI, open AI platforms will help. I won't be saying that it will be helpful for decision making, but it will help to gather certain data analysis towards decision making. So these are, and third very important again factor is that when we are operating in a global environment, language sometimes is a barrier. If you're operating in certain non-English speaking countries, there we have always that challenge. But ChatGPT is basically relief, and I would say that opportunity. When you're basically with the help of ChatGPT, there translation of those kind of aspects and those kind of I would say that area will definitely help us for any organization. So I would say these are few areas that are definitely opportunity. If you look at it, threat, yes. I mean, job displacement could be one bigger threat, which is part and parcel of when you say that any kind of a revolution is happening. But other than job displacement, I feel there are two more which are very serious threats, which we really need to understand. One is about the biases, and that's a really, I would say, a very important factor, because when a chat GPT creator itself is a human being, and that biasness of particular human being is reflecting in all kind of applications. So if that is going to be there, then definitely the quality of whatever information we'll be retrieving it and getting it will have certain amount of biasness in terms of their output. So I would say that biasness and fairness, which is something which is very important aspect, which could be or other which is currently threat when we are talking about ChatGPT and any OpenAI kind of a forums. Ethical framework is still missing. If you look at it, most of the countries are still not having any governing mechanism for managing these kind of open AI platforms. So there's a lot of ambiguity in terms of the ethical part, how the entire system will be operating in an ethical manner, and what are the basically norms and how the information part will be definitely considered from the ethical frame perspective. So this is one area, and very important. I would say that aspect in terms of the security. See, data security is also again another big threat wherein we are talking about, and the data security perspective also again, the governance mechanism currently is not there, wherein how organizations can have a relief in terms of protecting their information, and I would say that any kind of a particular individuals will have a some kind of a safeguard in terms of protecting that. So, in nutshell, if you ask me, definitely ChatGPT and OpenAIs are opportunity, provided if individuals are open in terms of their adaptability, if they are open in terms of change management, they are open for any kind of a learning new skills, they are ready for upskilling themselves, because if those kind of things are adopted, I think, and if we take care of the areas which we talked about, whether in terms of the governing mechanism, biasness in the entire programming, then I think definitely this is going to be a big opportunity in coming years.